Here's what's coming up on today's show.
But yeah, you can go and like plan your whole route. And actually in Minnesota, this area is used probably for usage. People are figuring out that they can do this. You flip on this roadless area.
That's crazy. I almost didn't want to do this interview, Ben, and I'll tell you why. Broadcasting from the Mid-Migration Outfitter Studios, this is the Finding Fur and Feathers Hunting Podcast. How much direction are you getting from the governor?
Minnesota DNR had reintroduced him into this area.
I don't know, maybe you didn't want me to tell the story on the show, but I'm going to tell it anyway.
I knew you were going to go there.
Come and close the entire hunting season.
Oh,
So that's
really?
pretty easy.
The Finding Fur and Feathers Hunting Podcast is brought to you by OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. Today's show is brought to you by Haybale Heights on Devil's Lake. Visit haybaleheights.com for more. By Tazen Lake Lodge in Northwest Saskatchewan. For Trophy Lake Trout Northern Pike, go to tazenlake.com. And by Lake of the Woods Tourism. Plan your trip to Lake of the Woods at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. All right, welcome to this week's show. I'm Bret Amundson, and we're pretty excited. We've got some big news to announce this week. And to tell us all about it, we got Ben Brettingen on the show here. Ben, how's it going?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be back in the Great White North and excited to be talking with you.
Yeah, as am I. And we'll get to all of that, of why you're back up here in the old Great White North in the land of Minnesota, where you've been and all of that. But let's just start right at the top with the headline. We've got a new title sponsor for Finding Fur and Feathers, Finding Fins, and of course, Sporting Journal Radio, the flagship, if you will, of all of this. OnX. And I couldn't be happier about it. So I know you and I have been talking about this for a while. So thank you very much.
Yeah, it was it's a great fit for us. Just really trying to break into the Midwest, and it's not just a Western big game app where it started. It's really made its way east. And I mean, we talked about it before just over email. It's like I don't know how I'd live without it hunting anymore. So
yeah.
It's,
for sure.
Great.
I was going to say, I guide waterfowl, and I remember the first time, it's got to be 5 years ago or so, something like that at least. And we were driving around, and we ended up getting into a county that we didn't have a plat book for. And there was a field there just loaded with geese. And we were just kind of, following gravel and didn't even realize that we'd gone into a different county at that point. So we're going through the plat book like, geez, who owns that property? Who owns that property? And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I've heard about this app. So we downloaded the OnX app, and I mean, within minutes, not even minutes, probably, I had the name of the landowner for that property. And, and then we looked up the guy's phone number, and we found out, I don't think we actually hunted that piece, but we found out who the landowner was pretty quick. So that, I mean, ever since then, that app has been a part of my phone.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just nice. You can look up, if you're out in North Dakota or whatever, and a lot of the times that somebody owns a piece of property and they might live in Fargo or Grand Forks, and you're out, Western North Dakota. So you can go and look on there like, oh, they live at so-and-so Fargo, North Dakota. So really handy. And then not to mention all the public land too, all the walk-in areas, WMAs, all the BLM land. It's fantastic. So it's a great way. I waste a lot of time at work. Well, I guess it's considered work now. So
that's right.
Just perusing OnX. So.
Well, that's just, I mean, when it comes to pheasant hunting, even here in western Minnesota, that's become, we're giving away my secrets here now, Ben. I don't want everybody showing up at the public lands that I hunt for pheasants, but it helps you find that public land so much quicker and so much easier, especially if you're going into a new area. You can kind of, I'll pull up OnX, I'll look for those public WMA pieces and say, oh, that looks like a pretty good piece. I'm going to go try to walk that today and see if I can't find some birds in there. So many different aspects. And I don't hunt, out west very often. You and I have both hunted North Dakota, and it's been helpful in North Dakota too. But I can imagine being out there, walking through the mountains or some of the big tracts of public lands out there, and just how important it is to know where you stand. Huh?
Yeah.
See what I did there?
Yeah, I mean, especially out there where there's so many land access issues, and it's like corner crossing. You can't go kitty corner to a property, and it's just arbitrary lines just drawn in the middle of a mountain. And And, you hear the story 1,000 times of somebody out there and they ended up, way on somebody's property. So this just gives you the ability to, to always know where you're on and make sure you're staying legal. So it also, it gives you no excuses as well for being on somebody's property.
That's right. Well, nobody wants to well, I shouldn't say nobody wants to trespass. I think in general, most hunters don't want to trespass, but it gets confusing when you're out there. Maybe you're on the back side of a public piece and there's no fences, or the signs have been knocked down or whatever. Sometimes there's no way of knowing, in a physical sense, looking around, sometimes there's no way of knowing that you're crossing a property boundary. So there's been many times when I've been on, deep into the grass or in the woods back somewhere, and I'm like, okay, am I still on this piece? I'll pull up OnX and check it out. And the reason we're talking so much about OnX, of course, Ben, is because that's your new gig, man. That's why you're back.
That is what moved me back to Minnesota. So I'm super fired up about being with the company, and then really fired up about being able to be back in Minnesota, where I was born and raised. So.
And you took a little detour. You're down in Mississippi. Is that right?
Yeah, I moved about as far north as you can get to about as far south as you can get. I took a job down there it would have been 5 years ago, with Primos hunting. So we had Primos hunting, gold tip, arrows, bee stinger, and then Bushnell trail cameras. So I produced a television show down there, and then was the brand manager for those brands as well. So great experience, a lot of cool stuff. Got to see a lot of interesting things that you'd normally never get to see or do, and but at the end of the day, there's no place like home. So I'm glad I moved this time here, because then we can roll right into fall and get a little bit of summer, do a little fishing, a little hunting, and then the dark times come.
Right. Well, and I've heard those are great people down there that you were working with too, but I don't know how you could handle summers in Mississippi or being down south in the summertime. I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, the people would say the same thing. It's like, I don't know how you guys could live with the winter you have up there, but it's just like anything. You just kind of get used to it, and then coming up here, I'm wearing a sweater. It's cold right now. But yeah, 100% humidity never feels good ever.
No, it's like 80 degrees out there. What do you do? How can you wear that right now? I'm sitting here in a t-shirt sweating at the moment. But Ben, you and I go back a long ways. 2011, 2012, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it had to have been somewhere around there.
With you were working at Minnesota Sporting Journal with Matt Soberg when I came on board, and we had a lot of fun with that magazine.
Yeah, it was a blast. And then if I remember correctly, right when you started, we started the radio show. I think what we were doing it in Fargo. What was the station we were doing it on there? Yeah,
WDAY.
Yep.
We'd go in there.
So that was fun time.
Yeah, we'd have to meet up at the radio station before the home studio situation and before the Zooming and all of that stuff. We actually went into the radio station in Fargo there, down in the basement at WDAY, and recorded the show there. I'm trying to remember how long we did that for and who some of those first guests were. But that was kind of the beginning. Yeah, that was 2012. I remember, and Matt Solberg and I kind of talked about this story a little bit too, not too long ago here on the show. But I remember the three of us sitting around a game fair talking about different things and what we could do. And I said, well, I got a radio background. We could maybe do some kind of radio show or whatever. And here we are 8 years later, and 400 some show. I think this is 412 now or something, Ben.
Wow. That is a good run and still going too. That's fantastic. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I remember you came on, it's like, well, I'm a hammer, and when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, so let's do radio.
Why not? Right?
Yeah, it's been great. And then it was awesome, with the kind of advent of podcasts getting popular. It was like just perfect. So
Yeah, and unfortunately, I wish that magazine was still around for us. But in the meantime, we've been able to do quite a bit with the website, and now this radio show on 30 stations, and then now branching off and doing a couple of these new podcasts, the Finding Fern Feathers and the Finding Fins, and then having OnX, as part of all of them. I couldn't be happier about that. So
we're really fired up about it as well.
So I want to talk about OnX a little bit because I was on the website checking some things out, and I've noticed this OnX off-road.
Yeah.
Tell us what the off-road is.
So off-road is, same company, OnX Off-Road. It's a different division. So I'm solely focused on hunt. We have a whole team that's solely focused on off-road, but that's for you four-wheelers, anyone that's out riding UTVs, just want to go trail ride. I can't remember how many miles and miles of trails we have marked, but that's, you can, clip it right onto your dash there and know where you're going, have directions, and people are able to, upload tracks and whatnot. And it's doing really, really well considering it just launched not too long ago. So, but our bread and butter is still hunt. That's where we have the most users, and that's where our core lies at. So.
Talk about, I know you just started there, but talk about how OnX Hunt has evolved over the years. When did it start and where it's come from since then?
Yep. So our founder, I think it was about 10 years ago, he kind of just was like, man, I need to figure out where I am, and these paper maps are, they're changing all the time, and I have to go to these, little podunk, either post offices or county tax assessor's office to get these maps. So he's like, man, I'm going to try to compile some of this GIS data and all this parcel information. And it started off with chips for, your Garmin GPS. And then that evolved, and we kept expanding. It started in Montana. So the main office is out of Missoula. And it just started expanding from there. And finally, I can't remember how many years back, 7, something like that they launched the app. And, people told them they were crazy. Like, nobody wants an app on their phone to do this. Like, you have the chip that you put in the GPS. Like, this is the end all be all for land ownership data. And what do you know now? It's like, not many people are buying the chips anymore. So
no, and I remember that. And it was kind of a short window because I remember all these different companies were starting to put out chips for your GPS, and I was trying to get a GPS that I could use in my car, and then also when I could walk around with it in my hand, which it was almost better off getting 2 different ones. But trying to get the chips, then all of a sudden it's like one day I was just like, nope, just grab your phone. That's all you need to do is grab your phone.
You always have your phone on you. So, but if somebody's not familiar with OnX, what it is, it's an app on your phone that will give you private lands. Like we talked about, it'll have all the boundaries, the names of the people. Same thing with public land. You can state forest, national forest, all the public land, and even like walk-in areas, like private lands open to sportsmen. In Minnesota, we have walk-ins. North Dakota has plots. Almost every state has their own private land access program, and then it doesn't end there. We've got tons of different layers. So if you go west or you're a grouse hunter, we have timber cuts, wildfires, all these different cool layers. Even the prairie dog. We have a prairie dog layer that I was looking at, and it actually made me want to go prairie dog hunt because I had never done it a whole lot. But I clicked the layer on and I start looking. And then they'll show you little prairie dog icons where these colonies of prairie dogs are. And I zoom in on the map. And I was like, sure enough, you can see all the little holes everywhere. So it's like, dang, this is pretty cool. So yeah, it's more than just a land ownership map. It's a kind of a program to help you hunt. So you can put waypoints down. You can label, organize all your waypoints. You can track yourself. So there's just so many features that it's great for.
I've noticed even just playing around on the map, when I click on somewhere, it tells me what deer hunting unit I'm in.
Exactly. Yeah, we've got all our game management units or zones for deer, and then you click on it, and you can go to your the DNR website and see all the information for that zone. And same thing with like block management out in Montana. You can click on that and it brings up the one pager about all the information. So just a ton of great content outside of what you think of just for private and public land ownership. So
I almost didn't want to do this interview, Ben, and I'll tell you why. And people always ask me for tips for waterfowl hunting or for pheasant hunting. And the number one answer I always give them is scout. You got to put your time in. You got to go find out where the birds are if you want to have a good hunt. But my secret is that I use the OnX app all the time. And I don't want to tell people that. But it's like they're going to know my secret. And that's being able to pull up the map and figure out where some of these properties are and also finding out who these landowners are. So literally, when somebody asks me, how can I be a better bird hunter, get this app, because that's literally that's the first thing I do. I mean, you got to put miles on, you got to go out there and look, but you got to look for the property to go look at. And that's the first thing I do is open up if I don't know of a place, it's the first thing I do is open up that app and look for a spot to go to.
Yeah, exactly. And it's nice you can access it on your phone and then on the computer. So I'll sit and literally I've got a kind of a system for like finding a pheasant spot, and all the pheasant areas that I want to go hunt, I mark in yellow. And then the ones I've been to, I mark them in blue. And so my map just looks like yellow chicken pox all across Minnesota. It's like, this isn't really narrowing it down, but otherwise, each state has their own little, like Minnesota's a recreation compass, but this is, you're able to see everything and pick it apart in your home versus driving around on the road and be like, oh, there's a spot. Oh, there's a spot I could go to. So I pre-plan all my routes when I'm going hunting, and yeah, just a completely invaluable tool.
Yeah. Dig into it a little bit deeper. How somebody can use this as far as when you discuss, marking something in yellow and, changing some colors and marking some areas. How could a person use this for scouting before you even leave the house?
So we can go and I can share my screen. It might be hard if you're listening to on the radio, but I'll share my screen and we can kind of walk through it a little bit and show you how you would do it. And I'll do my best to try to explain through it. So here is the OnX Web App here. And right now, we're looking at, we'll just say Western Minnesota, just south of you there, Brett. And we have all these map layers like I talked about. So it's anything, here is just some of the general ones. We have radar, we have wildfires, section. You can turn on PLSS data. But let's go and look at, actually I have Minnesota on already. So in Minnesota, you can turn on and off your private lands, government lands, hunt areas like we talked about. You can see it toggle on and off with the different game management or hunt areas. And then possible access, which is a great one to have on. Not a lot of people think about. It gives you a lot of land. And then walk-in access.
Let's back up 1 second though, Ben. What is possible access?
So possible access, for example, is if you let's go look up in northern Minnesota, kind of in some grouse country. That will give you a lot of, like, for example, like Blandon paper land. That is private land, but you can hunt it. So you can see right here, that shows up as possible access land. So just stuff that wouldn't show up. It shows up as private. It doesn't show up as walk-in areas, but you still can hunt it.
Interesting.
So it's just, and there's tons of little spots like that all across the nation that, when you flip on, it's like, oh, I can actually hunt that. So, and probably a lot of the guys up in northern Minnesota probably won't like that, but
yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah.
So
yeah. That walk-in access, that one actually came in real handy. I love hunting walk-in access pieces just because in Minnesota, it seems like a lot of people either they don't want to pay the $4 or whatever it is, which you should just pay. Even if you're not going to hunt walk-in lands, you should pay that $4 because it's $4 and it's helping us have more habitat out there. But it seems to me like it doesn't always get walked, say for pheasants as often as some of the other properties, just because maybe people just don't know what walk-in is yet, or they haven't bought the validation, whatever it is. But I use that all the time, and I use that because that land can change every year too. So it's kind of nice to be able to look at a map and see where some of those properties are. And I've used that layer on OnX many times.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's just oftentimes it's so underutilized, and a lot of the cover, it's like, is completely different. Like, when would you ever see, this is, say, a harvested field here. When would you ever see this in public lands? Like, there's rarely a field, so it's like, all right, I'm going to go pheasant hunt this whole drain right here, or, you know, when it's harvested, we can go out there and goose hunt it or duck hunt it. So,
right,
just a great program, and you know, $4. That's what you said it was, Brett.
I think that's all it is.
Like, come on, guys.
Yeah,
that's like 5 shells.
Right.
And that's giving us thousands of acres of essentially public land that we can hunt. So just an absolute no-brainer. So,
and the more people use it, I think the more money that will come in, the more opportunities for more land to become available to be a part of that program, and just to give us more opportunities for hunting out there. So I think it's you know, plots in North Dakota obviously is a lot more well established, and there's some walk-in in South Dakota too. And I think some of the walk-in programs in Minnesota, the walk-in access program in Minnesota, isn't as well known or utilized, but it's a good one out there. And I'd like to see more money go into it, but just don't hunt it when I'm headed out there to hunt it. That's
no, just pay the money and just let us do all the heavy lifting.
That's right. So let's pull up. This is obviously all across the United States, right? OnX is,
yep.
And is this in the entire 50 states, or just contiguous, or does it go up into Alaska as well?
Yep, it also goes into Alaska. So
could you pull up, like, say, Montana, for a guy that wants to elk hunt? Could you maybe see what it looks like for somebody walking through the mountains, what their map's going to look like there?
So we go into, let's just go up to western Montana here, you know, Little Belt Mountains. You can see, all right, I'm going to click on this. This is all, you know, national forest land. You can see that right here. And like I say, a lot of these times, these land boundaries are pretty arbitrary. Like, how do you even know right here that there would be a fence? I mean, it's seemingly just you walk one step that way and you're on private land. So, and it's just so helpful for that. And then as well, you've got your topographic maps, and another cool feature that hasn't launched yet, but I'll tease it, is we're close to 3D as well. So that'll be
cool.
A great feature, especially for the Western hunter. So
pull up. I want to see one of those prairie dog.
Oh yeah,
markings of prairie dog colonies.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. I was geeking out on that, and like I say, I don't even hunt prairie dogs that much.
I like, you know, even for fishing, I was able to pull up, like, boat accesses at different lakes, and there they are. Look at that.
So you know, these are general, but as you get in there, like, let's look. All right, here's up on some tribal land in South Dakota or something. All right, look at that. You can see all the prairie dog.
Holy
you know,
smokes.
all the little holes. So it's like, dang, if you're a prairie dog hunter, even if you're just out there hunting pheasants and you want to go burn some grass, like, look at that. All these prairie dog colonies. And it kind of shows you the hot spots, you know, where there's more, where there's less, whatnot. So it's really interesting.
That's awesome.
It's just fun. Like I say, I just kind of mess around and find all these prairie dog spots close to my pheasant spots. But,
sure.
You know, another cool area, especially if you're a big game hunter, is this roadless area. So the cool thing is, all right, I want to get back away from everyone, away from all the roads. You flip on this roadless area, and it'll give you kind of a black, and then these white areas with purple, those are kind of the areas that there are no roads in. So it'd be like, okay,
Interesting.
I should look at that to go deer hunt or hunt big game anywhere. So like here, you got to hike in a long ways to get to that spot. So that's super helpful. Pheasant hunting, deer hunting, just to know, all right, I can get back here and not have the people that are going to put in the time to get back there. So
That's crazy.
So yeah, it's just, and like I say, I just mess around on the app. Like, all right, you look at the eastern half of the United States, and there's maybe some New York, and then down in the Everglades. But
Oh gosh.
it's interesting to see that.
I'm so glad I don't live in the eastern part of the United States.
No,
No,
I hear you.
no offense to anyone watching this, but I'm glad I don't live there. I was looking at those map layers on there too, and you had like a Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation and a National Wild Turkey Federation layer. It looked like.
Yep.
What are those?
QDMA,
Oh, QDMA.
as well as CWD layers, so you can see where CWD is hot right now. So
Interesting.
wild
what-
records.
Yeah, what are those, that NWTF and the Rocky Mountain Elk, what do those layers do?
Let me just turn off this. So this, you're able to see records like, all right, this so-and-so big a bird was shot out of this area,
Oh,
or
really?
so 7, all right, so records, so big birds. There were 7 total records out of Blue Earth County, Minnesota. So it'll give you, let's just let my map load here. So, if you look out, all right, Wisconsin, 73 total records out of this county, Richland County, Wisconsin. So just interesting stuff like that when you're planning a trip. If you can kind of get a gist of where the good turkey counties are,
And
or where people register their turkey.
Sure. And for the elk one, is it actually giving you some areas where some big elk have been taken?
Let me go to hunt here. So this will show different properties. So let's click on here. So it'll give you information as well as so for example, RMEF has bought this property and opened it up to
Cool.
public land use. So one of their big projects is to help access landlocked pieces. So if they can buy a piece of land that'll allow you to access an area. So, for example, it'd be pretty hard to get up into this area right here, or other areas like that. So that's one of their missions. So pretty interesting.
And then I was looking at those layers again, and I saw you mentioned wildfires earlier. So that's historic wildfire. So that'll show you where there's been some recent fires, some recent burns.
So, like I say, maybe if you're up in the boundary waters or out west, this will help a lot more. But so I haven't played with a lot, but like here's an example out in Montana, just right here. You can see, all right, the name of this bridge coulee. It was 270,000 acres.
Wow.
And it started in July 29th of 2017. Yeah. So just really interesting things like that. And I'm curious to see in the boundary waters here. I don't know if they have any up in the boundary waters, but yep, right there.
Oh, sure.
92,000 acres. So just lots of stuff to explore.
Sure. Huh. So this could be a helpful tool for people. So you do have the boundary waters on here, right? So if somebody's up paddling around and camping, they can kind of keep an eye on where they're at.
Yeah, and you can go and plan routes. Let me shut some of these off so we can kind of see the map a little bit better. But yeah, you can go and plan your whole route. And actually in Minnesota, this area is used probably for usage. People are figuring out that they can do this and they can use it. And I'll go into some cool things, but first of all, say I wanted I don't know, I want to go fish bass back in this lake, or I'm canoeing from, let's just say from Isabel here. I can go into my map tools and I can say, all right, I'm going to canoe here, here, here,
Oh, look at that.
and make a track. So I do this a lot with pheasant hunting, and then it'd be like, all right, we're going to try to, get back here in camp so you can make this whole path all the way back.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And say, all right, if I want to go from that campsite to that campsite, that is, it's going to take, it's this long of a line. So I'll save that and click on it. And that's 2 miles. It's a 2-mile paddle to get back in there.
But
you can plan your whole route.
And it also gives you the distances between some of those points, like where you clicked or.
Yep, exactly.
Wow.
So it's super interesting. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there thinking like, all right, well, that's great. We don't have cell service back there. So What does it matter? So the cool thing is you can save all these maps for offline use. So you go into your app and you can click offline maps and it'll give you a square where you can save it and make sure all your markups, all your waypoints and your tracks and whatever layers you want are on. And then you can save different increments and different resolutions. So I could go and save the whole boundary waters. And while I'm out there using it, I always know where I am. I can follow my tracks, follow my campsite. So, you don't need paper maps anymore. It's just a complete interactive app. So
just bring a solar charger with you.
Exactly. Yeah. I can't help you if you run out of batteries.
Well, and I noticed you've all the campsites are marked in there too.
Exactly. Yep. All the campsites are on there as well. So, it's boat landings, campsites, all those point of access areas we call it. So, like I say, you could plan your whole route, and I was thinking about going up there this summer at the end to try to do a little fishing. It's like this would be a no-brainer, like because all that stuff looks the same if you've ever been up to the Boundary Waters or Lake of the Woods. It's you can get turned around so fast, so that would just be a no-brainer.
You don't know how many arguments I've gotten with people in a canoe, pulled up on shore somewhere, with a big paper map folded out, going, "Well, I'm pretty sure that this island is that island, and this island is that island," and they're saying, "No, that island is this island," and.
Yeah, don't forget that you didn't spring for the more expensive map, and so your map is also wet.
Yeah, every time. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So
it's funny because you go back to the days of even like on GPSs on boats, and I remember leaving breadcrumb trails of waypoint to get back to places in northern Minnesota where it's like, oh, I hope I don't hit a rock here. So
it's amazing how far technology has come. And when you've been playing around in the OnX app or on the computer there, what are some of the other interesting things you've found, or has there been something that you've looked at and gone, wow, I can't believe you can do that on here?
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll go back here. We'll take a look. The biggest way I use it is kind of we talked about a little bit before is just those walk-in properties, and not all of them are made the same. So like if I'm going, I love pheasant hunting. So let's go out here and I'll go and find, all right, not all of these walk-in areas or public lands are created the same. So if I'm going out for pheasants, I can go and see, all right, there's some sloughs out here. So there's some diversity as well as bordered by ag fields. And that's like the number one thing for me when I'm looking is, I want a piece of property that's got, whether it's corn or soybeans, something like that surrounded. So before I would have to go into the recreation compass and then go back to like a Google Earth to get better imagery and a better functionality. And now I can just do it all within the app. So that's one thing that I absolutely love about it.
I always look for those little depressions in the ground there too, and you can tell where there's some wet spots. For depending on what you're doing out there, sometimes you want to go for those wet spots, sometimes you want to avoid them. But I like being able to check them out.
other cool thing is, we've got all this information. So like, well, we just zipped up to Montana here, along the Yellowstone River, and I can click on my 2020 regulations. It'll pop up regulations. I can click up, all these different. Hunt Central is a great planning tool you can use, as well as if there's some special regulations on some of these managed, like a lot of these ones in Montana. They're for the spring, so you can only turkey hunt on them. So it gives you all this information right here at the click of at the click of a mouse, versus having to toggle back and forth and find, different regulations and whatnot. So
now there's different levels of membership with OnX. And I know it generally, it's if somebody just doesn't, maybe say they don't leave Minnesota, you can just get Minnesota, or you can just get one state, or you can get the entire country. Do all those layers come with, say, just the basic one state plan?
Yep. So we have the elite membership, which is nationwide, and that's $99, and that'll give you the whole country. And then, like you said, if I'm a diehard Minnesota or Wisconsin hunter, the premium is $29. Only $29 for all of that information. So you get the same with elite and premium just for one state. So you can see all those layers for $29. Like I say, it's a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer for sure. I mean, you think about it, some people pay that for, 12 bottles of beer.
Exactly. Yeah.
So to have all that information for the entire state or for the entire country, it's a heck of a deal, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
And if you were to buy a plat book, I mean, you're going to spend that on one county a lot of times too. $25 or whatever it is. So to be able to get the whole state for 30 it's a pretty good deal.
And the nice thing is it's not, we update, just depending on the area, we update them quite frequently. So if you buy and sell a piece of property, then, that's going to show up, where that plat book 2-3 years down the line, it could be completely different. So, and then another nice thing too, if you're looking to buy the app, and we do, we've got, we're partners with a lot of the conservation organizations too. So if you join, you can sign up. We've got membership codes for Pheasants Forever, for RMEF, QDMA, NWTF. So if you want to support those organizations as well, if you go look at our social media, we just put a post out for all of them, trying to help them out with all this COVID stuff going on, and they're struggling. So you get 20% off just like that.
Well, I think last year or the year before, RGS had a deal. If you signed up for a membership with Rough Grouse Society, you got a free year membership for for a state. So I did that. It worked out great for me.
Exactly. So we give them a percentage of the 20% of it, and then you get 20% off as well. So you're supporting them, and then also getting a great deal as well.
So I'm going to go to Montana this fall with my OnX app, and if I don't shoot a big bull elk, do I get my money back, or?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. You just if you want to give them the helpline, what's the number, Brett? You give them their number, and they can call you with any complaints.
That's funny. All right. Well, why don't you give us the details? Where can people download this? Where can they find out more information about OnX? And is there anything else you want people to know about it?
So you can get this on any platform. You can get it on iOS. You can get it on Android. If you use your tablet a lot, you can get it on there. Also, like we were doing today, on the computer. So you can go and download it on your phone, and then sign up for membership. You get a 7-day free trial to kick things off and see if you like it or not. So you can also, on the computer, if you go to onxmaps.com or search it in the App Store as well, that's where you can find it. So it like we talked about, just a fantastic tool for the hunter. And you said it, I've said it. It's when I talk to anyone that hunts a lot, they're like, I don't know how I did it without it. So it's just a complete game changer.
It's been my secret that I didn't want to tell anybody about. So dang it. But no, it's very invaluable, and I use it all the time. And I know coming up in the future here on the show, we're going to be doing some weekly tips and highlighting some different things as the seasons go on. So maybe we'll talk about, say during pheasant season, we'll talk about how you can use OnX for your next pheasant hunt and things like that. So looking forward to being a part of, having a partnership with OnX. Ben, thanks again for coming and joining us and this whole relationship. And thanks for being on the show today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it. And I know, when we were talking, I said, do you use the app? And you just, when anyone sends me a screenshot of their map, it's like, oh yeah, he uses it for sure. So we're happy to be on board and looking forward to the future. So thank you for having me on.
This has been the Finding Fur and Feathers Hunting Podcast, part of the Sporting Journal Radio family. Subscribe wherever you get podcasts or visit us at findingfurandfeathers.com. Devil's Lake is legendary, and this summer has been legendary for walleyes. Don't miss out. Call Haybale Heights Campground and Resort today to book one of their modern cabins on East Bay. The cabins are furnished with a full bathroom, kitchen, and all the amenities like high-speed internet and are clean following CDC guidelines. Staying at Haybale Heights gives you full access to a private boat launch, fish cleaning station, and beach area. Learn more at haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com. Plan your trip to legendary Devil's Lake today. As we all navigate through the tough times of 2020, finding new ways to enjoy summer has become a way of life. If you're searching for the perfect getaway this summer, look no further than the walleye capital of the world, Lake of the Woods. Fish the Rainy River, Big Traverse Bay, and don't forget you can still experience the uniqueness of the Northwest Angle. For your best chance to catch big fish, go where the big fish are. Lake of the Woods. Plan your trip at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. If trophy lake trout and monster northern pike are on your list this summer, book a trip to Tasman Lake Lodge in northwestern Saskatchewan.
Everything from numbers to big fish.
See pictures, videos, and more at TasmanLake.com.
This is quite the fishery.
Our 5-star chef will feed you well after a day of chasing giants on Tasman Lake.
Dream come true.
Get rates, dates, and more of what you can expect.
It could be the best fishing you've ever had in your life.
At TasmanLake.com. That's TasmanLake.com. Tasman Lake Lodge is a proud partner of Tourism Saskatchewan. Hunt, fish, conserve, repeat. That's the mission here at Sporting Journal Radio, and if you love the outdoors as much as we do, show it off with new wildlife-themed gear from the Sporting Journal Radio store. From hoodies to hats, coffee mugs, wildlife prints, and you can even make your phone stand out with a new case sporting some high-quality wildlife photography. Go to sportingjournalradio.com and click on Store. We have a huge selection of gear with new items being added every week. Powered by Shopify, which is trusted by over 1 million businesses and offering a variety of ways to pay, including PayPal. Shop now at sportingjournalradio.com.